Hey everyone, hi. Welcome back to this regularly updated and timely podcast. I did intend to do this podcast more often than this, but maybe at least from now on, maybe at least let's try to hit a monthly schedule of podcasting. Maybe that would be a more realistic goal. So let's try that. Well, I'm trying a new recording setup involving something that's more portable than I was using before, so that opens up more opportunities to be able to record a podcast. So hopefully that'll get better as time goes on. But what are we talking about today? Well, something that came up that's kind of Let's Play related that I thought maybe we could talk about a bit was well, the whole argument over whether or not Let's Plays could be monetized and how does copyright law come into it has come up, specifically because of a video made by Angry Joe, who was upset that Nintendo was issuing copyright claims on his videos that involved Nintendo games, and that sort of brought up an argument about who's in the right, who's in the wrong on that subject. Well, I mean, as far as that goes, that's a subject that is really going to normalize itself as time goes on. I mean, in terms of who's right in terms of the law, sure, Nintendo is. As to whether or not they should be doing that, that's debatable. But I think that as time goes on, that's a situation that's going to get normalized. There's going to be a more standardized way, a standardized expectation of how you get permission, the rights to be able to do videos of games. That's going to become, like I said, a normalized thing. This is a very new concept, the idea of people being able to do that, people being able to make money and make a living off of making video game videos. So there's a lot of ground that needs to be tread. A lot of precedent that has not yet been set. And the argument basically has had a lot to do with Nintendo's right as the copyright holder versus are they out of touch for issuing copyright claims on YouTube videos because that would discourage the creation of YouTube videos of Nintendo games, which does that make them less relevant? I mean, that you could have a whole discussion about that, about whether or not it's in Nintendo's best interest to allow YouTube videos of their games. We know that that Nintendo does want to have YouTube videos of their game made, but only under their rules per their revenue sharing program. And while I said that this sort of thing would become normalized in the future, I don't think that Nintendo's program is going to be the model that's used for that. Basically because you have to give up way too much control over your channel to join their program. If you don't know, the way Nintendo's revenue sharing YouTube program works is that you either have to sign up your videos individually to do that, or you have to sign up your entire channel, in which case Nintendo has control over your entire channel, and there are only certain Nintendo games that you can make videos of. If you want to make videos of any other games, Nintendo or otherwise, Nintendo's advice is simply don't do that. Only do videos from the whitelist. So I don't think that's a very realistic program that they have going. Also, if someone is doing this for income, to make a living, such as Angry Joe does that. If someone is doing that, then a revenue sharing program like what Nintendo has probably isn't going to catch on, because if you are doing it to make a living, most likely you're just simply going to not do Nintendo games, right? Because I don't think Angry Joe really gains any additional views by doing Nintendo games. Might as well just do games that allow him to keep all the revenue, right? So I kind of doubt a program like that's going to catch on, but there is going to be some kind of normalization of this whole thing, this whole process. The whole idea that you can make money and make a living off of doing these video game videos. It'll take a while yet, but something will be worked out. But I guess that's not really what I wanted to talk about, because a lot of that is just matter of opinion And that argument always kind of degrades down into whether or not that counts as a job, whether or not someone should do that for a living, which, I mean, as time goes on, that's just going to become increasingly accepted that that is a job. Regardless of what people think of it now, how weird it is to do that now, it will be as time goes on. I think I mentioned in the first podcast that when people get paid to do this kind of thing, they're not being paid to play video games, they're getting paid to draw eyeballs to advertisements. It's easier to understand in that way. If someone is able to do that by the medium of playing video games, then, hey, advertisers will pay for that. They don't care. In fact, that's probably preferable for them because you may be getting a demographic that's difficult to advertise to. So as time goes on, that's probably going to become more accepted, but for right now, it's still weird to a lot of people that that is something that could be a job. But I guess that's not really what I wanted to talk about, because a lot of that is just matter of opinion. What I did want to talk about was the whole process of monetizing YouTube videos and the obstacles that can get in your way. Because I think that people do have questions about that kind of thing. I do think that people would like to know maybe more about how that works, because you don't really know about how it works until you do it yourself. So maybe we could just go over that. Just talk about how that process goes. So basically, if you want to monetize YouTube videos, you have the option of just doing it yourself through Google's AdSense program. Or you could sign up with what's called a MCN, multi-channel network, which is basically organizations like Maker Studios, like Full Screen. I was going to mention Polaris, but that's just a subsidiary of Maker. You can join organizations like Machinima is another big one. You can join an organization like that, and that is usually the way people go about doing it, because it's just a lot easier to do it that way, I suppose. And when you do that, your videos will have the option to be monetized, and ads will just automatically be played over them. It's a very easy process until you get to the point where you run into ContentID, and that is what people tend to complain about, such as what Angry Joe was complaining about when he says Nintendo is monetizing his videos. It's not as personal as that. It's not really Nintendo monetizing things. It's that YouTube said to Nintendo that they could run their material in their ContentID system, and Nintendo said sure. And then ContentID will match up with, let's just say that when you're talking about YouTube's ContentID system, it's very heavily favored for the claimant over the video uploader. And I understand why it's that way. I believe ContentID, that came about due to Viacom suing YouTube over all of the piracy of movies that was going on YouTube. And YouTube's all like, yeah, we know. But we can't really curate this manually. I mean, what kind of gargantuan task would that be to curate all of YouTube? So this automated system was created. How does the system work? Well, if you upload a video that has either visual or audio content that is logged in the ContentID system, your video will be flagged for copyright infringement. And generally the way this works is it will be monetized for the organization that YouTube has logged as owning that material, that copyrighted material. If it's something more egregious than that, like if you're uploading a full movie, then, that's not even going to happen. You're just going to get copyright strikes. Three copyright strikes, by the way, and your channel is automatically closed. So that is really the big thing that you're trying to avoid. But for the most part, that's not what happens. For the most part, what happens is you get a message on your YouTube channel saying that video X has been flagged for copyright by organization X because of this music track that is in it. You can no longer monetize this video. It has now been monetized for the claimant. So when that happens, well, a level of control, I guess you could say, is taken away from you, because now it doesn't actually matter if you have ads turned on or not. This video is going to get ads on it. You can't change that. And you cannot change the monetization options on that ad. And this is the part that actually really bothers me. When you monetize a video for yourself, you have the option of choosing what ads, well, can pre-rolls appear on it, can post-rolls appear on it. You also have the option of deciding whether or not you want the video to be viewable on non-monetized platforms. For my videos, I choose yes. Now, what does that mean, non-monetized platforms? It means platforms that YouTube cannot run its video ads on. So specifically, mobile. If you watch YouTube videos on mobile platforms, I don't believe they can run their video ads on that. And I think the reason for that is because most people will be, are paying a data plan. And if video ads are run, then that would, really bite in to your data plan and would cost you actual money to view those ads. So I'm guessing that's why those are considered to be non-monetized platforms. And so if you aren't aware of this, when you monetize a video, there is a box that you can check that says to prevent this video from being played on non-monetized platforms. So if you only want that video to be played where money can be made, you can check that. And if your video is claimed by ContentID and is automatically monetized, that box gets checked and you can't uncheck it. So, on occasion, I do get questions from people saying, why is video X not viewable on mobile? Can you change that? Unfortunately, the answer is no. I can't change that. That video had music in it that tripped YouTube's copyright alarm. It got monetized for the claimant, and it's now not viewable on mobile platforms, and I cannot do anything about that. That's the part that really annoys me. That the video becomes unviewable in certain ways when a copyright claim goes through. Also, of course, there is no option to turn the ads off. That's just not an option at all. I think the only thing you can really do in this case, in terms of the content being flagged, is it does give you an option now to mute the audio from the offending segments. You can do that, but I don't, because I don't think there's much of a point to erasing the audio from the parts that YouTube doesn't like. And unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a way to upload a new audio track for an existing video, which, if you could do that, that would open up some possibilities on how to unclaim some videos, but you can't do that. The other thing you can do, of course, is you can try to contest the claim. And oh boy, this is where things get fun. I suppose there's been a lot of things that people have spoken about the ContentID contesting system, how that works, in that it doesn't really. I mentioned that ContentID is skewed heavily in favor of the claimant and not the actual uploader of the video. So let's go over an example of what that might mean. Let's say, for instance, there was a stream that I uploaded. It was a while back. If you happen to remember the stream it was around the point where I started playing the CDI, and the last game on the stream was a prototype game, Mario's Wacky Worlds. It was an unreleased game. There was only just a few levels in it. The levels weren't really that playable. One thing about that game is that it uses music from Super Mario World. So, that's in that stream. So I uploaded that stream, and not surprisingly, it did get claimed by Nintendo straight away because of this music. So I was thinking, I usually don't contest these, but it is a 3-hour stream, and that music only appears for a little bit near the end. And it's not even for a Nintendo game. I wonder if I could contest that. So, I went through the little process that they have, which is basically that you click on a button to say that you want to contest the claim. They give you some prefab reasons for why you're contesting it, most of which are not valid at all. Pretty much the only valid option is they give you a text box where you can fill in the reason that you have for why you think you can contest the claim. So I tried to put in a fairly legal-sounding answer. It was something like that this was a long-form review of several different games. The Super Mario World music is indeed used, but it was in the context of an unreleased game not owned by Nintendo. And so, as such, Nintendo would have no copyright claim on this video. It does not use Nintendo's content. I mean, technically, that Mario Wacky Worlds did use that content, but that content was being displayed as a means of showing this unreleased game, which Nintendo does not own. I am sure I worded it much more concisely than that. So I put that through, and then a couple weeks went by, and they say that if 30 days go by and there's no response, then the claim is released. But they did get a response, and the response was that, no, it's still claimed. You don't actually get much of an answer. It's just basically, no, the claimant has reviewed this and still is going to claim the video. I guess that probably means that someone at Nintendo who does this must have looked at it and decided, no, that seems right. That seems right that we should claim this, which is kind of discouraging because that is really a very small part of that video. After that, you do have the option of continuing to push. But that is the point where you would actually have to go get a lawyer, because things could go to court. YouTube makes it very clear that if you want to do this, that if you lose, you might get your channel deleted. YouTube is pretty clear that they don't want someone pushing on this without a very good reason. So I didn't push on that because, I mean, come on. I'm not going to go to court with Nintendo over this stream. So that's an example of what it's like to try to contest the ContentID claim. And how the content, well, what's more important is that the ContentID system does not really make any kind of determination on how content is being used. So if any content is being detected at all, it'll be claimed regardless of whether or not it should be. And that's the main issue that most people have with the ContentID system, that it's not a smart system. It's just basically that it has this visual and audio data logged into it, and if anything matches it up, then it gets claimed. That can lead to some interesting situations. If you haven't heard of it, I would suggest looking up the issue that Terry Kavanagh, the creator of VVV, had with the organization that was issuing copyright claims on the music that was in his game. And Terry Kavanagh's trailer for VVV got claimed because of that. And both Terry Kavanagh and Soli, I believe that's his name, the composer of the music, insisted to that organization that that music should not issue a copyright claim, that they didn't want there to be a copyright claim issued on videos that use that music. And I don't know how that turned out, come to think of it, if they ever got their way on that. But it could lead to interesting situations like that, where the actual copyright holder of the music does not want it to be part of the system, but they actually can't change that. So it's kind of a dumb system, but it's a very simple system. It's a system that does not understand any kind of nuance, and that can be a problem. For a lot of people who are wanting to go into Let's Playing because they want to make that money. Oh, the video game dollars. They want to make that money. They want to do this for a living. I mean, that's going to be a big problem. And it's only going to be an increasing problem as time goes on. It's not just Nintendo. People tend to make this about the Angry Joe thing. They tend to make it about Nintendo. and about how out of touch they are and behind the times. But it really is not Nintendo, just Nintendo. They're just one of the more aggressive ones in terms of having so much of their content in the system. They're certainly not the only ones. You can have lesser-known games that are in the ContentID system. To give an example, all of the recent streams I've uploaded have been claimed because Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles and Ride to Hell Retribution both use licensed music. Well, maybe not licensed, but it's music that is in the ContentID system somehow. I don't think RE uses licensed music, but its soundtrack is in the system. So uploading any videos of them, they're going to get claimed. Even Ride to Hell Retribution, even that small little game, yes, that will still get claims. So it's not just Nintendo, it's not just the large companies, but that's going to be an increasing issue for a lot of companies. A lot of games owned by a variety of different companies, large and small. Again, just to say it again, the soundtrack to VVV, that too issues a copyright claim. So, if you're looking at going into Let's Playing for the sweet money, if you're looking to do that, that is something that you're going to need to really think about, to really consider. What are you going to play? Are you going to play anything that is going to issue copyright claims, which is a lot of stuff now? Not just Nintendo, but a lot of larger companies will have pretty much everything, their entire catalogs, in the ContentID system. I mean, pretty much, if you're trying to do this for money, I guess maybe indie games, maybe try that. But even in that case, they might be using licensed music from elsewhere, which could result in ContentID claims. And when your video is claimed, it is so hard to actually get that claim lifted. Which is funny, because, well, I mentioned that the system is skewed for the claimant and not the video uploader. Okay, now I know that this would never happen, but let's say for some reason Nintendo uploaded that stream of mine that I mentioned up to their YouTube channel. Again, I know that's not going to happen, but let's say they did. I mention that because in that case, I could then issue a claim on that video because it has my content in it. It has my audio. So when I upload it, they can issue the claim on me. If for whatever reason they uploaded it, I could issue the claim on them. It's the same video. I mean, there has to be someone who actually owns that video, but according to YouTube's system, if you uploaded it, you probably don't own it, and this other organization that says they do, well, they probably own it. So I guess the message is, if you want to make money on YouTube, don't actually upload anything of yours, because then you're in the wrong. You have to be the one making the claim, not the one who actually uploaded the video. It's not a great system, and I have to imagine that eventually YouTube is going to do something about it, but you know, it's Google, and they take their time, and they are not exactly transparent about anything. Again, I know the reason they did it. They had to do it for legal reasons. They had to have some kind of method in place where they could be pretty sure that that copyrighted content, such as movies and such, that if it was uploaded to YouTube, that whoever owned it would be getting the revenue from it, or just having that channel deleted altogether if it was that egregious. But still, that's the way it goes. And honestly, I don't really understand why Angry Joe would have been surprised by this. Nintendo is known for doing it. And considering the number of videos that he uploads, that's certainly not going to be the only video that's gotten the copyright claim. I'm sure must have been many others, because that's just how it is. There's so much stuff in video games that can get you a copyright claim. You know how you don't get copyright claims? If you want to do LPs and not have any of your videos claimed, you know how you do that? Just not record the game audio. Because that is the primary way that your video is going to get claimed. It's like, out of all of the claims that have been on my videos, there's only been one time in which it was not an audio claim. There was one time it was for a video claim, that I was using copyrighted visuals. That was for the demo video I did for demo friend I did for BioShock Infinite. It said that the intro, when you land in Colombia, that was owned by someone else. And whoever it wasn't 2K, it wasn't Irrational, it wasn't them. At the time, I did make the claim that said this organization, they don't actually own this. Like, this is a review footage of a new game coming out. That's the purpose of this footage, and the claimant does not actually own what they say they own. Again, I said it more concisely than that. And the claim was actually lifted that time. I'm sure I was not the only claimant, because if everyone who was uploading BioShock Infinite videos at the time was getting that same claim, I'm sure there must have been a ton. But that was the only time I've seen a copyright claim lifted. But if you want to be absolutely sure that none of your videos are claimed, well, just don't record the audio. Make up your own. I don't know. Some people do that, actually. Some people record the audio so low and just talk constantly over the video. If you ever see someone doing that, this is probably the reason. They don't want to have the game audio to have any kind of volume at all, because that's the thing that is going to grab the attention of ContentID. If you can just keep the audio as quiet as possible, maybe removing it entirely, and just talk as fast as you can, just think of everything you can say, it doesn't matter what, just, look, I'm going to comment over everything, I'm going to talk over this cutscene, I'm going to give my reactions to everything that I'm seeing right now. It doesn't actually matter if you can hear anything that's going on in the game. Actually, I don't want you to hear anything that's going on in the game, because that might get me into trouble. If you ever see anyone doing something like that, it's probably why. Audio is a weird thing on YouTube. And that's the thing that's most likely going to give you an issue with copyright. I think that because of this, because it's such a weird situation, people who are going to do this for money, it's probably going to migrate to direct donations like Patreon. Because in that case, it doesn't matter if your videos get flagged. That's not where the content was coming from anyway. The only unfortunate thing is that you can't take those ads off. That actually was something I was thinking about at one time. Some people were saying that I should start a Patreon, and I was thinking, maybe I could do that, and maybe if I did, then in exchange I could turn the ads off my videos, because that would be cool. And then I realized, oh wait, there's actually a bunch of videos on there I can't turn the ads off from. So that's a problem. That can be an issue. And like I said, that's the thing that bothers me, not having that kind of control over my own videos, because they tripped ContentID. So now there are these turn offable ads. That's not a word. Now it is. They're unturn offable, and I can't make the videos viewable on mobile platforms. So that's just basically going over how ContentID works and what it's like to have to deal with that if you're uploading videos. It's that level of control is the main thing that bothers me about it, and also that it's the music that ends up being the thing that gets the videos flagged. Even if it's just a very small part of the video, it's still gonna happen. And even if it's something that you may have fair use for, it's still gonna happen anyway. That's the thing about ContentID, is that it does not discriminate. Some people might say that there's a difference between whether or not you should be able to monetize a Let's Play video or able to monetize a highly edited review or documentary style video. Well, according to ContentID, no, there's no difference. If that music appears in your video for even just a few seconds, hey, guess what? It's getting flagged. That kind of freaked me out when it first happened because I was afraid if it happened too often that I would get like a copyright strike. Fortunately, that has not been the case, and I've seen videos by people who have a whole lot more flagged videos than I do, so it doesn't seem like this has any permanent effect on your channel. My channel is still listed as being in good standing, so fortunately, this has not had any kind of negative effect. The main people, I think, who are very upset about this are the people who do make these videos for a living, and it's become sort of unreliable because of the number of companies that now have their stuff in the ContentID system and will monetize those videos. So, I mean, it's like I said, if you're going to do it, you'd probably want to look into direct donations like Patreon, because actual ads on your videos, probably erratic, unless you just don't use any game audio at all. I mean, that's probably the most guaranteed method of avoiding ContentID. I'm not sure if I have anything else to say about that. That's just something I just wanted to go over in case anyone wondered how that system worked. What exactly is the interface that you're dealing with when doing this, and how often this can happen. It can happen pretty often. Probably, I wouldn't say half, but maybe a little less than half of the videos I tend to upload these days get copyright claimed. It's around that. So that's why I say that it's just increasing more and more. And how it's increasingly difficult to avoid having that happen due to how many more companies are now logging their audio content in with ContentID. I guess I also wanted to mention that because in many cases, it's not actually possible to not have ads on your video. You know, some people say that why should someone be able to make money doing this? Why should you be able to run ads on your video? I mean, even if someone didn't want to have ads on their video, it's increasingly the case that it's just not possible for that to happen. I mean, keep in mind, YouTube wants all of their videos to have ads run on them. If your video becomes popular enough, gets enough views, YouTube will actually mandate it. I don't know what the number is for that. I certainly don't get that many views. But I have seen certainly a number of accounts from people who have had a video that went viral, and YouTube did require that the video get monetized. So yeah, YouTube certainly wants to have ads on everything. That's how they make money. So it's not like as time goes on, it becomes feasible to just not have ads on your videos. I mean, even if you're not doing it yourself, there's still probably going to be ads on a lot of the stuff you upload. Again, that's why I say that if you're going to try to make money from this, probably going with ad revenue is not the way you're going to do it. It's just too easy for your ads to be for your videos to be claimed by someone else. Maybe in the future that will change. Maybe in the future there will become more regulations about what you need to do in order to record video game videos. That's actually something I've wondered about. If something like that is going to happen, where the IP holders will exercise more control over this kind of thing. You know, you've seen examples of that kind of thing with like EA. There have been times where it was found that EA were paying some well-known LPers to present their games in a certain way, you know, not mentioning any problems that might come up. You wonder if things like that will become more commonplace. Will these IP holders, will they come after LPers who show an entire game and not leave anything to the imagination, which of course would probably lead to lower sales? Would they do that? Would they encourage you to do your videos in such a way as to be more like advertisements for the game? And if you do that, would they be more lenient on the content you make? Kind of a weird thing to think about. But as this becomes more popular, and as as the public face of a game now becomes increasingly more tied to people playing them on YouTube, it does seem like something that could potentially happen. How would that change things, do you think? Like maybe someone might do an LP of a story-based game, and then right before the game ends, the LPer says, and if you want to know what happens, you can buy this on PSN for only $50. And then it ends there. Will that be how things go? I do know that if you do a video that shows, if you do an LP that shows the entire game, I mean, if it's a very heavily story-based game, that kind of leaves people without a reason to really buy it. So I wonder if eventually anyone would take issue with that. I remember when I did a video of I can't even remember what it was called now, but it was that one XBlig where it was like sort of like a Hardy Boys style story, and it was made with the game, the movies. It was like all the cutscenes were made with that, and it was just sort of a choose your own adventure, and the imagery in the game was incredibly wonderfully bad. I can't remember what it was called now, but it was great. And I went through the whole thing, which was just like, it was like 10 minutes long, and I showed the ending, or at least one of the endings. And I remember I got an email from the guy who made it asking if I did any more videos of his games, if I could not show the ending. I mean, I understand his concern that it might have been more of an advertisement for his game if I didn't show the ending. But I mean, come on, the game's like 10 minutes long. And I don't think that holding back on the ending would have increased sales for him or anything. But, I mean, that's sort of like a very small example of what I mean. Or something else is, a recent video I did was that of the Talos Principle. Did a demo friend of that. And in that video, I did a little teasing there where I said, maybe I should go in this door. And then I don't go in the door. And then there were some comments, people saying that, why did I have to do that? Now they are obligated to buy the game. I thought that was kind of interesting. I didn't intend for the video to have that effect, but, I mean, it did seem to get some people to buy the game. Would formatting videos in that way be encouraged in the future? Would publishers ask if you could make your videos in such a way to pique intrigue in the game, so someone would feel drawn to buy it? I don't know. I can definitely see that kind of thing happening. But there are so many people who make video game videos now. I don't even know how you would try to standardize something like that. I'm sure something will end up happening in that respect eventually, though. Not sure if I have anything else to say about that. Just that I guess it's sort of ironic that I'm talking about posting the ending of a heavily story-based game when I'm working on the last episode of D4. I did mention a while back when I started the LP that I wondered that it's kind of weird to make an LP of a game like this, which is heavily story-based. Does that give anyone actually a reason to buy it? But I figure, I mean, it's not going to make a dent in sales one way or another. But still, yeah, I am working on the last video of that. I know it's been a while. I meant to have this video out a while back, but I just haven't had the time to finish it. But I have been working on it. Basically, the main gameplay part of the video has been done for a while, and it's around an hour long. What I've been doing is making this final segment for the video where I'm just going over, what we've learned throughout the Season 1 of D4 and any kind of speculation that we could come up with on what might be going on in this story, what's actually happening, is there anything we can figure out. And what I did basically is I just sat down with the timeline of D4 in front of me, which is something that's something else that I put together. for the final segment is I tried to put together a timeline of events of the things that lead up to D4. So I just sat down with that in front of me and just kind of talked for a while about, and I figured that the way this is going to go is I'm going to talk for a couple minutes about this one subject, and then I'll stop and then talk a couple minutes about another subject, then stop, and I'll keep going like that till I run out of things to talk about. So I did that, and now I've been making videos to go along with those segments, and I think it's actually going to turn out to be 40 minutes in length. I didn't even realize I was talking for that long, but I think that's how long it's going to end up being. And that doesn't include the Bad Detective segment, as well as the actual closer of the video. I'm guessing this video is going to turn out to be something like an hour and 50 minutes to 2 hours, something like that. Didn't really intend for it to be that long, but that seems like how it's going. I hope I can actually finish it this week and get it out before the weekend. We'll see how that goes, though. I am making progress on it, even though it is slow progress. It's surprising how long it takes to find proper screen caps to go along with the things that you're saying. Because that's been, I guess, the main thing that's been taking time on that. But yeah, that's how D4 is going. It's going well. I think that the final segment is coming out well. And I think it kind of fills out a lot of the story that we've been seeing. Because when you finish D4 Season 1, it does feel very incomplete. So I hope at least this final segment will at least fill some things out that maybe the game itself doesn't seem to do. Hopefully it'll work out that way. So I'm working on that, and after that, of course, as I've mentioned a few times before, once we're done with that, then going to go into Enemy Zero, which I assume is going to start a few weeks after the end of D4. And then there's also a bunch of demo friends I wanted to do that I haven't gotten to because I've been working on D4. Like some games I've been trying out and I liked and I wanted to do a video of them, but oh no, I don't have time to do it. Maybe I'll just get a bunch of those out when I'm done. Let's see, what games are those? Like I tried out White Knight, which was like a survival horror game on the PC. It seemed interesting, so I wanted to do a video of that. I also want to do a video of Ori and the Blind Forest. I want to do a video of Axiom Verge. That came out on the PS4, so that I'm having a pretty good time with that. Also thinking about doing a video of Ziggurat, which is like a first-person has sort of roguish elements in a first-person shooter, reminiscent of Heretic and Hexen. Want to do some of that. Wanted to do a video of Please Don't Touch Anything. I took a very short look at it, but I think that for that one I'm just going to do the video blind because my understanding is that the idea of the game is that it's a very short game and you're just supposed to fiddle around with the console, the machine in front of you and see what happens. So that doesn't really seem like something you could do a planned video of. So I think I'm just gonna do that one blind, and we'll see what happens. See what goofy fun emerges. I mentioned, I think a week or two ago, that I got an Android device, and maybe we would be doing some mobile game videos. The device I got is, it's called I think the name is the JXD S5800. It's a Chinese device. It basically looks like a huge PSP because it has a gamepad built into it. I thought that was interesting because I kind of wanted an Android device to try to check out some Android stuff. The Ouya has some problems with that because it doesn't seem to be able to access Google Play, which is where most of the Android stuff comes out on. Also, at this point, the Ouya's hardware is pretty outdated. I believe the JXD's hardware is more powerful. But some Android games do have gamepad support. Android does have an API for gamepad, so I thought it was neat that this thing had a built-in gamepad. It was like a proper handheld game system. How about that? I mean, it's advertised mostly for emulation, to the extent that there's an app on it called Happy Chick, and if you go on that, it's just like this message board where people are posting all kinds of ROMs. So that just comes on it. It's pretty clear that this is not meant to be sold in the US. Yeah, it says right on the box, emulate NES, SNES, Genesis, and so forth. So emulation is definitely the biggest drawing point of the JXD. And it does it well. I mean, I tried some emulation out on it. It works fine. But I also tried some native Android games. There were some that I've liked. Actually, the ones that I've liked have been all puzzle games, really. I played The Room and The Room 2. And I thought those were excellent. I thought those were really good. And that was a very rare example of a game that I think that works better with touch controls. Like with most games, I would think that, the controller is just better than tapping on a touchscreen. But The Room, actually, I know that a PC version was released, and you control it with the mouse. And they did improve the graphics on that. But I thought that the touch controls worked better for that game, those games, than another control interface like the mouse or controller would have. I thought those were really good, so I like those a lot. I've also played Monument Valley, again another puzzle game. Tap on the screen, simple puzzles. I haven't done the DLC yet. I bought it, but haven't started on that yet. But I also enjoyed that. That game has a tremendous visual style to it. And it's a relaxing little thing to play, like right before going to bed. Play it in bed, right? As you're going to sleep. And then there have been a bunch of other games that have been kind of trash in different ways. I mean, it's kind of a shame because these games definitely have some production values behind them. But oh man, it's just I'm not into the kind of systems that they are presenting. Specifically, I mean games where the idea is that you are just supposed to, tap on a bunch of stuff in order to grind, and then you level up. And then there's in-app purchases that allow you to skip the grind because, hey, let's make a game system that the player is supposed to want to spend money to skip. So I'm not really so much into that. Well, anyway, some of the better ones of that type of game that I've been playing have been Final Fantasy Record Keeper. Like, for what it is, that game is well done. That game is pure 100% nostalgia. It has nostalgia for all of the previous Final Fantasies. The gameplay in that is the old, Super Nintendo style Final Fantasy battle system, with those characters from all Final Fantasies, including the newer polygonal ones. They have been redrawn as those little big-headed sprites. And it has the music and backgrounds from previous Final Fantasy games. And the gameplay is that you are building up your party members and you're going into battle with the party, and you are doing those old Final Fantasy style battles. And that part works fine. Just seems like there's nothing really else to it. Like, the whole idea is that you're just constantly, grinding to level up and get better weapons and all that. And if you're into playing a game just for that purpose, it seems very well done. I just don't think there's enough to it, though. But maybe that's inherent to the whole mobile platform. Still, for what it is, I mean, even the story of the game is all about nostalgia. It's all about a world in which you are keeping records of the worlds and stories that have been in other Final Fantasy games. So, there are portals to the worlds of Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy X. Get characters from those worlds. Go into those worlds and fight battles. There's no world map or anything. It's just that you go in there straight to do the battles. And it has the music straight from the games. So it is a game that leans extremely heavy on nostalgia. It just doesn't seem like there's really anything to it besides the grind. It also does something that I've noticed a bunch of Android games do, in which it is constantly accessing the internet. Like, everything you do, after every action, you get a message saying that it is now accessing the internet. And the game doesn't just keep going when it's doing that. No, everything halts. And if your Wi-Fi connection has an issue, and your device is not able to access the server, everything stops. You can't do anything else. It just stops. Because it has to access the server before you can do anything. And I assume that the reason for this is that since in-app purchases are such a big deal, it needs to constantly access the server to make sure that you have not hacked your game or anything. Like you're not doing anything shady. Like everything's legitimate and up on the up and up. So it seems that not much of the game is actually on your device, but most of it is on the internet, and you're constantly accessing the internet to do anything and everything. Not the only game I played that had that. Another game was Terra Battle. Terra Battle is a game that I was interested in playing because it's made by Mistwalker, headed up by Honorabu Sakaguchi. How do you pronounce his first name again? Hironobu Sakaguchi, I think is what it is. I don't have it in front of me. I'm just talking off the top of my head here. Maybe I should get notes for this kind of thing. I tried that, and oh man, that is another one that constantly accesses the internet. I mean, I don't know how good the gameplay is, because I just didn't like how often, every few seconds, it had to access the internet. That game definitely has high production values. It looks really good, and it has good music. But again, it's sort of like a very simple tap the screen combat system. And I don't know if there's really any depth to it or how fun it is, because I just haven't been able to get into it, how often the game pauses to access the internet. It looks really good. It seems really polished for what it is. I just don't know if I like what it is. And I guess that's the main issue with a lot of the mobile games, is that they are specifically like that. Another game like that I wanted to play was Chain Chronicle. Now, Chain Chronicle got my attention because it is one of Sega's most highest-grossing games. Sega put out a presentation recently where they talked about what were the games that were making them the most money. Chain Chronicle was one of the top two. There was another one, but I don't know what it was. So I thought I'd check this out. And once again, much like Terra Battle and Record Keeper, high production values, game looks and sounds excellent. At least until you get to the battle system. And the battle system has about the depth that you would get in an XSplig. I mean, again, I guess for this medium, for this kind of device, maybe that's preferable, because the idea is that you are just sort of playing it, sort of absently tapping the screen. I guess it's not expected that there's going to be a whole lot to it. Again, maybe that's just a thing about the platform. I don't know. But, everything else about the game looks and sounds excellent. But, again, the style of gameplay it is, I don't know if it's something that has anything to it besides what it has in face value. I don't know. Maybe I'll do videos of these at some point. Well, it would be kind of difficult to do videos of Record Keeper and Terra Battle, because those games only run in portrait mode, which is kind of annoying when recording a video, because if you think about how portrait mode looks, the vast majority of the screen is unused. So that would be I could do it, but it would be kind of annoying watching a video like that. Chain Chronicle does work in landscape, so that might be an option. Maybe I could do a video of Chain Chronicle at some point, see how that goes. I don't know. I'm not sure. That game seems to have a little bit more to it than maybe the others, but I'm still not sure if I'm into that. I also tried a Sonic game. I forget what it was called now, but there is a Sonic mobile game, and it's trash. Seriously, it's horrible. That's just the kind of... I mean, it looks good. The graphics look good. I got it because I kind of wanted to see what a good-looking polygonal game on mobile would look like. And it looks all right. Gameplay's terrible. It's like Sonic's running. The camera is like behind him and above him, like you usually have in a Sonic game. And there are like 3 lanes that he can run on, and you tap on the screen to move him in the different lanes. And you can tap on the top of the screen to make him jump, tap the bottom of the screen to make him roll, and when he's jumping, you can tap on an enemy for him to dash at the enemy. And I guess if you were trying to make a Sonic game like this, how else would you do it, right? But it's pretty terrible. What else was there? Oh, right, I also played some Crossy Road. I don't think that game's very addictive. I'm not enjoying it very much. I guess I can see why it's popular, because, it seems to work well for that interface. It plays well for, being a touchscreen game. It has that sort of simplicity to the controls that you need. It also allows you to take your time, which is something that seems to be inherent with a touchscreen game, is that you're not going to have, split-second controls here. You need to have a game design that is going to let the player be able to pause, be able to wait and take their time. So while you're like crossing the road in Crossy Road, you need to be quick, you need to be tapping the screen. After you get past the road, then you have a safe area that you can wait a little bit and, get your bearings and figure out how you want to tap the screen after that. You only have a limited amount of time to do that, though, because it seems like if you wait too long, that I think like there's a bird that comes down and kills you. At least that happened to me once. But that game I think I see why it's popular, but I'm not really getting a whole lot out of it myself. So right now I am looking for mobile games that could be fun. Again, I know it can happen. I know it can be done. I enjoyed the Room games. I enjoyed Monument Valley. So it's possible. It can happen. And then, if I find something good enough, maybe we'll try out doing a video. Maybe I'll do Chain Chronicle just for the sake of seeing what one of Sega's top grossing games these days looks like. Because you think about Sonic when you think about the games that make them the most money, and hey, maybe it's not. Maybe it's this anime mobile game where you just tap the screen a whole lot. Maybe that's what's making money now. Maybe I'll give that a shot. Well, I think I'm just about time. I'm going to have to wrap this up. But I hope I'm able to do more podcasts more frequently in the future. The reason is because I bought a portable audio recorder, which makes it very easy and convenient for me to just be able to record these anywhere and anytime. And I don't even need to do it all in one chunk, though I did do that today. I could just do 15 minutes of it somewhere, and then 15 minutes of it somewhere else. Right now, I'm just hanging out in my car, because I had a break from work, so, I could do it anywhere. So I'm hoping because of that I'm able to do more of these, because I like doing the podcast. I like doing the first 2, and I hope to be able to do some more. So I'm thinking basically the format would be some kind of main topic to talk about. Then after that, going into what games I've been playing and the status of any videos that I've been doing. Things like that. And then I also want to take questions. I meant to do that. I said on a previous podcast that I wanted people to send in questions. I don't think I've actually answered any. But I do want to go through the questions I've received and see what would be good that maybe could engender some discussion on here. So I think that's basically the format that I'm going to want to do. So, I guess that's going to be it. That's just letting you know what's going on with this podcast. No, it's not dead. No, I still want to do it. And hopefully now it will be even easier for me to do it due to this new recorder that I got. So, I'll see you around. Until next time, maybe I can try to make this a monthly thing at the least, and bi-monthly at... Wait, that bi-monthly means once every 2 months, right? So twice every month would probably be bi-weekly, right? Once every 2 weeks. So monthly at the least, and maybe bi-weekly at the most. I'll try to shoot for something like that. So we'll see you next time. And if you have any questions about the subject I've been talking about today, hey, please send them in. Please send in any questions you might have about that, because maybe we can revisit these topics on a future podcast, and I can try to address any questions or any rebuttals that may come in. So if you have any opinions on the idea of people making money by making Let's Play videos, if you have any questions about the way YouTube monetization works, or if you have anything that you want to bring up about mobile games, those are the main things I've been talking about, hey, sure, send in questions and I'll take them. Until next time, I'll see you later.